Do you know that feeling when a massive struggle looms over you? That hollow sensation in your chest when the world seems to align against your soul, even as you strive to walk the path of truth? If you felt that weight, you are walking in the footsteps of one of history's most iconic figures. Today we pull back the curtain on the chaotic, breathtaking, and deeply human path of David. He was a forgotten shepherd who rose to become a legendary monarch, known forever as the man who mirrored the heart of the Creator. But make no mistake, David was no plastic saint. His life was a raw mosaic of glorious triumphs and devastating moral collapses. It is precisely in his brokenness that we find a mirror for our own survival. If you are currently standing in the shadow of a giant, acknowledge your commitment to walk by faith by typing 77 in the comments. And if you find strength in these ancient truths brought to life, join our community by subscribing. It helps us carry this light to others who are searching for hope, just like us. Now, let us enter the story. Our journey begins in the hushed, dusty streets of Bethlehem, inside the modest walls of Jesse's home. The world sees nothing out of the ordinary, but the divine is moving in the shadows. The prophet Samuel arrives on a clandestine errand from the Almighty. One of Jesse's boys has been handpicked to lead a nation. Jesse parades his eldest sons, towering, muscular, impressive figures who radiate the aura of command. When Samuel looks upon Eliab, the firstborn, he is certain he has found the king. But a profound truth echoes through the room, one that still pierces through our modern obsession with status. The Creator does not judge by the standards of men. Humanity stares at the surface, but God pierces the soul. 7 sons pass by, and Samuel is left in silence. None of them are the chosen one. Confusion sets in as he asks if any children remain. Jesse almost brushes the question off. There is the youngest, he says, but he is out in the wild with the livestock. David was so deeply overlooked that he wasn't even considered worthy of an invitation. He was the excluded one, the boy left alone in the dirt to watch the sheep. Yet, in that isolation, a king was being forged. While David stood against the fury of lions and the strength of bears to save a lamb, he was learning coherence. In the long nights spent guiding the lost, he was learning compassion. The tasks that seemed invisible to the world were actually the blueprints for a divine destiny. When David finally arrives, he is covered in the grime of the fields and the scent of the wilderness. But where others saw a dirty shepherd, God saw a leader. The command comes, "Arise and anoint him." As the oil flows over David's head, the atmosphere shifts. Externally, he is still just a boy, but internally, the Spirit of the Lord has claimed him. He remains the youngest, the underdog, the unexpected choice, but he is now the anointed. While the shepherd boy returns to his flocks, the golden halls of the palace are darkening. King Saul, the man who once held God's favor, has allowed his heart to grow cold and rebellious. The divine presence has left him, replaced by a haunting inner torment. A cloud of bitterness and rage settles over the throne, leaving the king restless and broken. Desperate to find a cure for his master's soul, a servant suggests the power of melody. They search for a musician who can soothe the king's fractured mind. A name is whispered: David, the son of Jesse. He is described as a master of the strings, a man of valor, and a person of deep wisdom. But the servant adds the detail that changes everything. The Lord is with him. That is the only credential that truly matters. Not his skill, not his looks, but the presence he carries. And so the boy who once sang to the stars finds himself summoned to the court of royalty. David doesn't claw his way into the palace, he doesn't manipulate his way to the top. He simply steps through the doors that the Almighty has swung open. It is a reminder to us all, when it is your time, no power on earth can keep you from your destination. You don't need to force your fate when God is the one directing your steps. In those halls, David serves with a quiet heart. He carries the king's gear and plays his harp to drive away the darkness. In this season of service, he is a student of the throne. He watches the heavy weight of leadership and the pitfalls of power, gathering the wisdom he will need for his own future reign. God is shaping him in the quiet moments before the world ever knows his name. Then comes the hour that would define him forever. Two armies face off across a deep ravine. From the ranks of the enemy, a nightmare emerges. Goliath stands nearly 10 feet tall, a wall of bronze and muscle, radiating arrogance. For 40 days, his mockery echoes through the valley, stripping the courage from every soldier in Israel. No one dares to move. David arrives at the camp on a simple errand to bring bread to his brothers. But when he hears the giant insulting the honor of his God, a holy fire ignites within him. He refuses to be intimidated. He looks back at the lions and the bears he fought in the wilderness and realizes those private battles were rehearsals for this public moment. The same God who rescued me from the predator's claws will rescue me from this giant, he declares. Saul tries to dress him in heavy armor, but it's a foreign weight. David strips it off. He chooses what he knows, a simple sling and 5 smooth stones from the brook. As he approaches the giant, he makes it clear, this isn't a fight of steel against steel. You come with a sword, but I come in the name of the Lord. While Goliath laughs, David charges. A single stone whistles through the air and finds its mark. The giant crashes to the earth, defeated not by a military strike, but by the power of faith. David's triumph proves that the scale of your obstacle does not dictate the end of your story. The struggles you endure in secret are the very things that will empower your greatest breakthroughs. But victory carries a price. In the eyes of King Saul, David is no longer a hero, he is a rival. A lethal jealousy begins to fester in the king's heart. One afternoon, while David is playing music to bring Saul peace, the king snaps. He hurls a spear with murderous intent, nearly pinning David to the wall. Even when David escapes, the malice continues. Saul tries to use his own daughters as bait, hoping to send David into suicidal missions against their enemies. "Let the enemy take him down," Saul whispers. Yet through the betrayal, David remains constant. He continues to lead with integrity, winning the hearts of the nation. In this season of shadows, God provides a lifeline. A friendship with Jonathan, the king's son. By every human law, Jonathan should have hated David. He was the heir to the throne that David was destined to take. Yet Jonathan sees the hand of God on his friend. Their souls become inseparable. In a stunning act of humility, the prince removes his royal cloak and hands it to David, along with his weapons of war. It was a silent, powerful declaration. I recognize the true king, and I stand with him,